As you may recall, if you've listened to previous episodes, once a month we do a trauma clearing. And a trauma clearing is basically whatever has come up for you in the past.
Learn the ways of the goddess and accomplish much more with so much less effort. Welcome to Your Goddess Awakened with Halle, Eavelyn, a show dedicated to helping you embrace your divine feminine and nurture your inner goddess for a radiant life. We invite you to join us every week to receive goddess wisdom that will help you through your current obstacles and lifelong traumas. Awaken the goddess within you and transform your business and your life, only here on Your Goddess Awakened.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Your Goddess Awakened. Trauma clearing is basically whatever has come up for you in the past as far as things that have caused blocks. Some of the people that I work with, their trauma has been really extreme. Like I've worked with clients who have dealt with death and rape and other examples of violence or assault. And it's possible for that to get cleared out very quickly. But what normally happens is we get stuck in the baggage of it, and we tend to carry that around almost like it's our luggage that we're like throwing onto our shoulders, and it just gets heavier and heavier and weighs us down. So today I have invited my brand new friend, Heather. Heather and I met like literally 30 seconds before I started this podcast. And I don't even know what Heather is coming to me for. And I'm excited about that because it's true that if you're ready for an extraordinary change, that it can happen just like that, just immediately. So Heather, welcome to Your Goddess Awakened.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. And why don't you start by just telling everybody, why did you come today? Why'd you say yes to this? I mean, you're going to be talking publicly about private stuff. Why, why did you want to be here, and what are you looking to have help with today?
I guess it's been a lot of things. It started, I guess, about 3 years ago. We got married. We started trying to have kids. It wasn't working naturally. We did 4 IUIs. That didn't work. Went into a round of IVF with my eggs, and it failed miserably. Ended up doing a round of IVF with a known donor. That failed. Went with an unknown donor and ended up getting 3 embryos, really good quality embryos, and transferred an embryo last August. And the embryo took, and everything was going perfect. The baby, like, from what we thought, was super strong and was doing great. And then the 20-week appointment, they said his head looked a little abnormal, but, that happens, and it could mean nothing, and just to come back in 4 weeks, and then they would check him out again, and we came back in 4 weeks, and then it was just a laundry list. Like, he had fluid on the brain, his head was still abnormal, his cerebellum was down into his spine. At the 20-week, they couldn't see the bottom of his spine. Ends up, he had myomeningocele spina bifida, and the prognosis was just really bad. It was awful. And it goes against everything as a mother. Like, you don't want your kid to suffer. And that's what I just kept thinking. Like, he'd be paralyzed, he'd be incontinent. There was a really good chance that he would pretty much be kind of a vegetable. There was also a chance if we did surgery that he would be very low IQ, but it was such a spectrum. They were kind of leaning on the side that he would have no quality of life. And this little boy was loved so much and is still loved so much. I love him so much, and he is all I think about, and I miss him so much. And so we ended up having to, at 26 weeks, we ended up delivering him. And we got to got to meet him, but he was delivered stillborn. But I think just going through having to stop his heart, and then like just knowing like just the guilt, and just because he was so loved, like I wanted him, but at the same time I couldn't sit by and watch him suffer for a lifetime, you know. And so it's hard. Like I said, it goes against everything as a mother that you believe in, but at the same time, like I just couldn't have him suffer. And so now it's just, I feel like every single day, like I don't know, like there's just so many things. Like, does he understand? Where's he at? Does he hate me for what I did? Like, it's just these thoughts, and I know some of them are rational, some of them are irrational, but it's kind of like our story for the last 3 years in a nutshell.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that, and for your ability even to talk about that, because obviously you have to be able to talk through it and to be able to get to the other side. What's your husband's name?
Zachary.
And I love that name. And how does he feel about this?
He's very logical. Like, to him, there was no question. He couldn't bring a son into this world that would suffer, you know? And so for him, like, he loves this little boy so much too. And it's hard for him. But at the same time, there was no gray area like there was for me, you know, and still is for me. It was very black and white, and he knew like what needed to be done. And he's been very strong throughout this whole thing. Like, I've kind of fallen apart, you know, especially after we had to deliver him. And he was very strong. Like, he's hurting, but he's grieving a little bit different, quite a bit different. And
what do things look like for the two of you now? Do you feel bonded because of this experience, or have you two pulled apart because of this experience?
There was probably about a month after it happened, I felt like he was trying to get me out of my grief, and I didn't want anyone to help me get me out of my grief, and I just wanted to be alone with my grief, and I wanted to essentially be done, you know. And that's when I think he just told me, no, like, I'm here for you, and I'm not, like, I'm going to let you grieve, but I'm not going to let you run away. And we've slowly like started to become closer and closer, because there was a time like through all this that I feel like a good month where we were separating and dividing, and it was me, like, he was trying to make me happy and look on the bright side, and I didn't want that. Like, I just wanted to be miserable and miss my little boy.
Yeah. I want to say to you, and this is really important for anyone who's ever been through grieving, your process is your process. It doesn't belong to anybody else, and different people process things differently. So one thing that's really important is that you are kind to yourself, that you honor the process that you're going through. This happened 3 years ago, or you got pregnant 3 years ago? How long has it been since you had to bury your son? 3
months. So okay. We started trying, and we did all the 3 years ago.
Okay.
I guess it's been almost 4 months. I take that back. We delivered him. We had to stop his heart February 5th, and we delivered him February 7th.
Okay. So you're still in the more acute process of this grieving, and perhaps he is too, but even if he's not, it's because of where he is energetically, he may have been able to move on faster. You know, you were the one growing the baby inside of you, so that bonds you more even than him who helped co-create it, right? So this makes sense that it's even harder for you. But also, as you said, he's very logical. So, you know, he's using his logic to say, well, if A, then B, then C, then D, and therefore this is how it is. that's a different approach as well. So we're honoring his process and your process. Do you hear that? Okay.
Yeah. And I was well aware, like, how he was grieving, wasn't going to be the same as mine. And I didn't want it to tear us apart. And I'm glad that it hasn't. There was a time that I was done, though. I wanted nothing to do with him or anyone else for that matter. But
right. Because when we're in that moment where we are grieving and we go down like this, we don't actually want to feel different, because different doesn't feel safe. Yeah. And also, and this is really important as well, I want you to understand this. This is going to be maybe an energetic shift for you, but I want you to hear it with your ears as well. Forgive and forget are not the same thing. To forgive yourself, your doctors, everyone associated with it, the baby for not being healthy. There are all kinds of irrational things that you could need to forgive because you feel upset or angry. Maybe, the baby being an innocent little soul, you will not even consider that you're angry with the baby. You may be, though. So whatever your forgiveness process is, again, belonging only to you, you want to move through that. And we'll do some of that today now on this call. And forgetting is not the same thing. You will never forget your baby. You will never forget this experience. You will never forget this time in your life. You will continue to honor your baby's memory. But you don't need to stay stuck in the energy of the situation in order to honor him, to stay connected with him, and to continue to have this be something that you remember the rest of your life. We just don't want you to remember it so acutely that it makes you cry every time you think about it. We want you to remember the good pieces, and there are good pieces, and we'll talk about that too, as opposed to continually beating yourself up, feeling guilt, thinking he hates you, all the things that you said. Does that all make sense to you?
It does. It does.
And are you willing today to let go of the attachment to being wrong and the attachment to the situation being so awful, and to begin that healing process?
Yeah, I really am, more than you know.
Okay, good. Then I'm so glad that you're here today, and I'm here to help. Okay. So I have one more question for you.
Okay.
What's your favorite word for God?
Probably master.
Okay. And what's your spiritual or religious background?
I was raised LDS. I haven't been active LDS for 20 years. And so now it's just more, I just believe in a higher power. I don't know. I kind of like the idea of being reincarnated, souls coming back, and like, I just kind of like the idea of love binding us, like maybe my sister in a previous life might have been my daughter, or my mom could have, I don't know. Like,
absolutely.
I don't know. I like, that's kind of like my belief, and what feels good to me is that, that love binds us, and that this life isn't final. And we have lots to learn in this life that we could take on to other lives.
Yep. Okay, beautiful. Thank you so much. So is it possible in your belief system that your son did not need to be born living in this lifetime, in this world, to teach you and Zachary a lesson by his presence?
I've never thought about it that way. I guess I always thought about it the other way, that maybe he needed to be born to teach us a lesson, and we made the wrong mistake or the wrong choice. But I guess I never thought about it the other way, because I do a lot of, I like in every decision in my life, I second guess myself all the time. And so this one, I've gone back and forth a lot, but I've never thought about it that way.
And what if this is not only a lesson about what happened in the circumstances? What if it's also shining a spotlight on that bigger lesson, that lifetime lesson of you second guessing yourself? I mean, this is a huge thing to second guess yourself about, maybe the biggest thing that's ever happened to you. What if this is part of the lesson? And what if your son came into your life to teach you that lesson?
Yeah, it could be very possible.
And would that be okay with you if that was the purpose of the relationship?
I think it could. I do like thinking about it that way a lot more than the other way.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, we have a tendency to shame and blame and punish ourselves as human beings. I've often asked why, because it's the most annoying thing. It's like, oh, we come in with the perfection of God, and then we fall from grace of our own volition. I mean, you're like 2 years old when you have that whole duality conversation about like, well, this is me and this is God, and God is great and I suck. Like we have that, like the basics for that start to happen when we go from the unity awareness to the duality. And it's that at that point, we're 2 years old, we may not be able to consciously talk about it like that, but we start saying you and me at that age and differentiating. So from that point on, we're like imperfect. And then we have the reinforcement of our religions and our families and our, the adults in our lives, the ministers, the school teachers, etc., telling us how wrong we are and how, not okay we are and how much less than we are than our spiritual father, mother, God, right? So this is what I know. Your son, his soul being is perfect. And just as your soul being and everyone's soul being, it exists across time and space, regardless of the moments on this planet. Your son, just as you are, just as Zachary is, just as we all are, is a continuum. And it was like he dropped into this lifetime to teach that lesson and then moved on. And it seems like agony for you, but he got to learn a lesson and be a lesson just that quickly. And the rest of it is stories that we tell ourselves. I'm wrong. I'm guilty. I should have this. I should have that. I'm not sure. And like I said, because I don't know you, I don't know I don't know the long history of you trying to get pregnant and what that meant. I don't know if you would consider adoption, for example, after this. I don't know if you're going to try again to have a baby. Those are personal choices. But the souls come into our lives and leave our lives as is needed, not necessarily as is wanted. We lost a very dear friend 2 weeks ago to advanced cancer. She was 34 years old. She was an extremely important person in the life of me and of my sweetheart. And it was agony watching her go. But the lessons that I learned about grace, experiencing that, were very powerful. It's an opportunity and a lesson. And the only thing that's wrong about it is us beating ourselves up when it happens. Like her mother not being able to stop it and wanting to, and feeling like if I were a better person, would she have been able to stay? That's not even the question. Just like for you, I mean, from everything you just described to me, you would have tortured the physical being of your son by bringing him into the world. Now, there are people who will disagree with that completely. There are people who would call you names for making that choice. But
yeah,
to me, this is about love and you loving that child enough to make a decision like that. And you loving yourselves enough to make that decision for him and honoring what happened, which is a terrible lesson to have to go through. And one that I'm sure anybody listening to this would say, you know, there, but for the grace of God, go I. And I'm so grateful that, you know, Heather is having to experience this and I don't have to experience this because, you know, it's a terrible thing to have gone through.
Yeah.
But it's your lesson and you get to learn it with grace. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. And it's a like I said, I've beaten myself up over this. I think about him all the time and second guessed if the doctors were wrong. And I know they probably weren't. They've seen this. They deal with kids with severe spina bifida. And so, but it's just this logical and a lot like emotional part of me that just has been fighting, you know, because I love him so much and I've never, I guess, thought about it in that way, you know, as a lesson to learn. And maybe he just needed to drop in really quick to just show me like what true love is, you know?
And that's important too, because neither you nor Zachary have loved that unconditionally before.
No. And I would have taken care of him for the rest of his life. But like at the time when we were going through it, I was like, that's not a life for him to live, you know? Like, it just
you also don't know what would have happened. You don't know that he would have still been born alive. You don't know that he would have survived outside of your body. You don't know that with those injuries being that severe, if any useful thing would have come out, or even if he would have, you know, come to term. So now, more importantly, none of that matters. South of your decision to honor his highest and best good by terminating the pregnancy, you don't get to even go experience that. So like reel your energy back from there, because your energy is spending a lot of time down in a place that doesn't exist and never existed.
Yeah.
And, you know, I mean, look, I believe in medical miracles. I've seen a bunch, but the kind of thing that you're talking about is so extreme. And we don't have the tools for that kind of healing as human beings.
Yeah.
Certainly not consciously, and certainly not, you know, as little tiny beings. Like he wouldn't have been able to heal himself. So what I would like to do is I'd like to walk you through an exercise where you can connect with his soul and talk to him and let him tell you, because we're just talking and there's deeper work to be done here. So are you okay to go on that journey with me?
Sure. Yeah, I'll try.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just close your eyes. This is where the YouTube part gets really boring because we're both going to be here with our eyes closed, but that's okay. So, and blow your nose so that you make sure that you're able to sit in stillness for a few minutes.
Okay.
And I just want to invite you to relax your body and relax your mind. Have you ever worked with your angels, your higher self before?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so we're just having a grand experiment then. Are you willing to have a grand experiment with me?
Yes.
Excellent. So just take some deep breaths in through your nose and out through your mouth. As we relax your body, we relax your mind, and we just begin to allow. There's been so much pain lately. You just are beginning to allow right now that everything just is. It's neither good nor bad. It just is. We're not adding to the weight of it. We're not taking any of the weight off. We're just experiencing it exactly as it is. And in this now moment, I invoke all of my guardians and guides and all of Heather's guardians and guides as we allow everything to unfold perfectly in her highest and best good and in the highest and best good of her family. We are knowing that right where Heather is, the master intelligence of the universe is. We are seeing and allowing the opportunity for shift in this now moment. Oh, I'm in such gratitude about getting to be here, about getting to experience this energetic up-leveling, this energetic knitting up of the old wounds with Heather. And I am knowing that she is cradled in the arms of the Master. I am knowing this for her, for Zachary, and for her son, for that amazing soul who came to this world for just such a brief moment to do all of the lifetime's work in one breath and to be gone once again into the next assignment. And I'm just releasing my word into the law, knowing that it is already done. Amen. And Heather, just keep breathing, keep allowing, keep relaxing. And without going any deeper, I'd just like to invite you to imagine right now that there is a room, a clean room in your mind. And I'd like to invite you to just go and sit in it. You're in a big, comfortable chair in a big, empty room. And if you look around while you're seated, you'll see that there's a door over on one side of the room, and it's shut. And there are windows that are closed. It's a big, empty room, and you're seated in a comfortable chair that can look any way that you would like. Can you feel that right now? Can you feel yourself seated in that chair in that room?
Yes, I can.
And on the opposite side of the room, directly in front of you, there's a small stage that's just one step up. And it's empty, but onto that stage now, being poured onto that stage from pure light into form. And again, this can look any way that you like, is the soul being who came into your womb and left as your son. Can you see him?
Yeah.
Well, tell me what he looks like, just a little bit.
He's a man.
Yes.
He's a grown
he's
man.
A man. Yeah, absolutely. And did you have a name for him in this lifetime?
He's very good looking.
Good. Good. Did you have
Yeah.
a name for him?
Yeah, Finley.
And let's ask him. Yeah, let's ask him if he wants to be called Finley or if he has another name. And tell me what he says. What's he telling you?
Can't.
You can see him, but you can't hear him, correct?
Yeah, I can't hear him.
No worries.
He likes Finley. I don't think that's his name, but he seems like he likes it. Okay.
Yes, that's exactly right. That's perfect. Okay. Now, Heather's big brain, we want to invite you to take a little step to the side right now. Just move offline a little bit. And Heather's higher self, Heather's soul being, we know that you are here. We know that Heather's guardians, guides, and angels are especially close today in her grief and especially close with her in this time period of her life to help her, to support her, to allow her to move through this lesson. I would love for Finley to be able to talk directly to the Heather being, and that is facilitated through the soul that is Finley, through the soul that is Heather. So Heather's big, beautiful brain, you're invited to have a little nap right now. I've got this. I've got Heather, and I will make sure that she's safe. So Finley, is it all right for us to call you that? What does he say?
Yes.
Yes. And now you can hear him. So let's ask him what message he has brought through for you today. Finley, what message does Heather need to hear? And Heather, just tell me what he's saying to you.
That I'm his mom. That he did pick me. And he does love me. And I will always be his mom. And this isn't the end for us. We will be together again.
Yeah. Yeah. And Heather, Finley would like to share with you right now why it worked out this way in this lifetime. Are you willing to hear that?
Yeah.
Finley, explain this to Heather, please, in a way that can settle her heart so that she understands and so she doesn't have to feel guilty every day anymore. So this burden of weights can be lifted from her heart. She struggled already for so long with it. What's he saying?
I'm trying to hear him.
Heather's big brain, remember, you haven't been able to solve this on your own. You have not been able to sort through this. You are invited now to move out of the way enough so that Finley, who has so much to say, he's such a beautiful light, so that he can come through and speak with you directly. I'm hearing him, but I so want you to be able to hear him as well. So Heather's big brain, allow Finley to take over just a little bit so that he can share with you what you need so much to hear. Finley, go ahead. Heather, can you hear him?
I can see him.
Okay.
I feel him.
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. May I share with you what he's saying?
Yes.
He's saying, I am always alive. I am always here. And I came through you the way that you needed me to facilitate the lesson. That is why I was there. And now I'm moving on, but not energetically, just physically. I will always be here with you. I will always be part of you. Can you feel that what I'm sharing with you is true?
I do. I feel his love. Like I said, I had just a lot of hate for myself.
Yes.
Because I didn't know if he hated me. And I feel like I do feel he loves me, and I do feel he's proud of me.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yes.
Like he is. He's a grown man. He looks happy. Like he looks like, from what I feel, like what I'm feeling through it, it's just that there was no right or wrong choice. It was going to be a lesson either way. And that he does love me for what we did.
Yes, of course. Spirit says the lesson is in the choosing, and that is so true. So it's beautiful that he shared that with you.
Yeah. Just love you.
Yes. Yes. Our lifetimes on this planet, and there are multiple, our lifetimes, each of them individually, is so long in terms of how many breaths we get to take, but so short in terms of what's possible, so short in comparison to the stars that we are. And this is such an energetic shift to go from this lifetime and this son and this husband and this house and this work and these pets to our bigger picture selves, where you are a soul having a human experience. We're wearing, I like to say, our meat suits. We're wearing our physical beings, but they're not the truth of us. The truth of us are our souls. The truth of that little tiny baby is this fully formed, fully realized soul that's just showing up as a man right now for you so that you can have something to hang your hat on, because it's really hard to talk to a million points of light, but that's what we are. That's the gift of who we truly are. Heather, feel inside of yourself right now. Does it feel like you deserve to have guilt, shame, or blame?
No, I don't. I do feel like he loves me.
In your mind's eye right now, I want you to stand up in the chair, in the room, stand up out of the chair and go over to the stage and let Finley embrace you. Let him hold you and you hold him. Just for this now moment, connect your soul to his soul. Can you feel him?
Yeah, I do.
Yes, yes, yes. And it's time to say goodbye to him for now, but he can come back anytime. This love that you feel, shift energetically, feeling it for this tiny little helpless infant that you had to let go before he was even fully formed, and move it into feeling the love for the soul being, and feeling that that is an angel presence that you can carry with you whole, with your head held high for the rest of your life. Do you understand?
I do. Yeah.
So are you ready to say goodbye for now?
Yeah, for now.
For now, yes. He can come back anytime. He's with you and Zachary all the time. But now you'll be able to see him as this presence instead of this helpless being that you had to make this terrible decision around.
Yeah.
Yes, beautiful. And as Finley fades away, I want you to go back and sit in the chair for just another moment. And now onto the stage comes you. Because you've forgiven everybody else, but you haven't forgiven yourself. Do you see her standing on the stage?
I do.
Are you willing to forgive her?
I am.
And is she willing to receive that forgiveness?
Yeah, I think so. She's ready.
Yeah. And we don't want you to think, we want you to know. So let's just ask her. Heather, are you willing to be forgiven for this thing that you feel that you did, that you had control over, when really you were just part of a much bigger story?
Yeah, I am. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. And now feeling your forgiveness for her and her receiving that forgiveness, as strange as this sounds, go over and give her a hug because she really needs it. She's been suffering so much.
Yes, she has.
And that suffering ends right here, right now, doesn't it?
It does.
Yes. And now we're going to say goodbye to the Heather on the stage, and I want to invite you to come back and sit in the chair once more. Your higher self is here, your soul being, your guardians, your guides, and your angels. And we're going to pour energy, all of us, into you. And we're going to send out all the old energy that no longer serves. And we're going to flood your body with light, with allowing, with peace, with joy, with happiness. You got such a gift today, being able to see who Finley really is. So there can be joy in your heart and happiness in your heart when you think of him instead of sadness and pain. Can you feel that?
I do. I do. I feel he does love me.
Yes, of course he does. And he's so grateful to you for choosing to sacrifice some part of your innocence to experience this lesson, all of you together. It's not just your lesson. It was his, it's Zachary's, it's your parents, it's his parents, it's the nurses and the doctors and the people who are in the hospital. It's everyone's lesson. So sit right now and feel that there is an opening at the top of your head, in the crown of your head, that space where the fontanelle is as a little child, that space where as a baby you come out with a hole still in your skull and it closes over time. That is the space that I want you to focus on right now. And I want you to feel it opening up like an aperture on a camera lens. And I want you to feel the white, pure light of love, power, energy, happiness, joy, peace. I want you to feel that to begin to flood into your body. And as you do, I want you to feel that your feet on the ground are releasing all the old energy, the pain, the suffering, the anger, the guilt, the shame, the fear, the desperation. It's all moving out of your body, down, flowing through your feet. And as your body begins to be filled with the cosmic white light radiating from all of your guardians, guides, and angels, you release everything that no longer serves you. The outflow goes through your feet to be transmuted back into pure energy from which it came. And your whole body now is flooded with a cosmic white light of pure heart energy, pure love, pure joy, pure happiness. Can you feel that coming through?
I do. Yes.
Yes. Yes. And feel that and come on back as you are ready. We invite your big brain to relax, waking up gently and slowly from this nap. And we invite you to come back newly rebirthed into this being that is known in this lifetime as Heather, newly reborn into all the moments before now have faded away, and all the moments after can be different. Hi.
Hello.
How do you feel?
Like relief. Like he had the kindest face. He was happy. He was smiling.
There's so much going on the other side that we have no awareness of. It's like you put the meat suit on. Well, it's called the veil of Maya. And the veil of Maya is this veil that we put over ourselves in many ways that puts us to sleep. And even the most awake of us is barely awake compared to what our souls are capable of. And I believe that if our souls got as awake as they wanted to be, that, our brains would explode, right? So, yeah, but you got a glimpse into that today. And that will start your healing process.
Yeah. Yeah, I can think of him as now that someone that does love me is there for me.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. And I know that I'm not sure when this episode will air, but I'm going to go ahead and get it sent to you early personally so that you can share it with Zachary as well, if you would like that.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I want to encourage you to watch it again, but not for a little while. I want to encourage you to wait for maybe a week before you see it again. I want you to start getting some distance between the acuteness of what you were feeling until this now moment and the way that you're going to feel going forward, because you put your burdens down, you put that baggage down, and you did it beautifully, Heather. Really, it was remarkable.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that was, I don't know, I didn't know really what to expect at all. And just it was very real. Like I could feel him, like he does love me. And that's what I've been beating myself up and hating myself for so long, is because I love him so much and I just didn't know, and I just was scared that he didn't understand and that I made the wrong choice, and just feeling him, just knowing that there was no right choice. If we had let him live, it would have been a different lesson and it would have been hard. And this is hard. Like I said, this is something that goes against what every parent feels and believes.
Yeah.
So
I'd like you, just in the last few minutes together, I'd like to invite you to tell me the story of how things are going to be for you now when you think of him, and how things are going to be now when you interact with yourself. Tell me the new story now that you have all of this, knowing that you didn't have an hour ago behind you.
I feel now I view him more as an adult, like as a person, instead, like not so much as a baby that doesn't understand. I feel like I view him as someone that completely understands the situation 100% and knows the choices that we were faced. And I feel like now I can, go forward and not, I talk to him a lot and I write him letters a lot. And I feel like I can go forward and not always be apologizing to him. Because I feel like I'm all in every single letter, I'm telling him how sorry I am. And I feel like now I can go forward and maybe just go on and tell him how much I love him, how much he means to me, and maybe how we'll be together again someday. But there's been a lot of guilt, and I feel like now I can maybe possibly move on and go to just kind of get to know him as best I can with him not being here, and vice versa.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yes. And that you can now choose to treat yourself with kindness. Yes?
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. I don't need to be beating myself up so much and hating myself.
Or at all.
Or at all. Yes. Especially for this.
Yes. And for everything. You know, we waste so much of our lives beating ourselves up. We waste so much of our lives telling the story of what's wrong, what's not working, punishing ourselves. And all it is useless energy that could be spent on joy and spent on happiness. You get the same number of breaths in your life every single day as everybody else. What are you doing with all of those breaths? It's an invitation back into joy. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Yes. Thank you. It's been my honor to get to facilitate this for you today. Thank you so much. Okay. Blessings.
You have just listened to another enlightening and transforming episode of Your Goddess Awakened with Halle Eavelyn. We hope you enjoyed your time with us, and join us again next time so you can continue your journey towards a full transformation. For additional resources and to learn more about working with Halle Eavelyn, visit halleevelyn.com. Receive more, do less, and love your life. Only here on Your Goddess Awakened.